Hey, welcome to the Local Marketing Beat, brought to you by Uberall. I am Christian Ariola, and I will be your host for this episode. The Local Marketing Beat is all about helping location marketers stay in the know on the hottest digital trends. So we're going to surface things like need to know updates related to local digital marketing and ask the experts what they know, why it matters, and what it means for location marketers. So, what's the beat on the local marketing street this month? Let's get into it because it's a very exciting topic. We're talking about analyzing competitors and what the top local landing pages have in common. This is a great strategy, very well known, but there's a lot of word on the street about this. And for that, our guest today is Amanda Jordan from Brickety Roo. She's an SEO strategist and consultant. She's an international speaker at conferences, and she imparts her vast knowledge, especially in managing unique challenges faced by franchisees, private equity firms, and multi-location businesses. So, Amanda, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk to you today.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about this topic, but before I start geeking out on local pages and all things like that, let me ask you a question. What was the last local business search you did and why? Tell us a story there.
The last local search I did was actually looking at real estate. I'm interested in real estate investing in my area. Apparently, I live in a really big hotbed. A lot of people are moving here from other parts of the country. So, looking for like local real estate agents that work with investors. So, definitely a localized search, but not usually an industry that I work with directly. So, it was interesting to see what showed up for that.
Absolutely, and I cannot promise if we have someone in real estate listening to this and they reach out to you, you know where it came from. So you know how that goes, right?
Mhm.
But let's talk about local pages, right? And we can set the foundation if you can just give us a little bit of context of like what are these local landing pages, local pages. Obviously, everybody has a different name for them, but if you can
Yeah.
just give us some context here on what are they, and then we can go keep going from there.
Yeah, so what I consider a local landing page, it's the page that someone would land on if they were doing a search locally for your services or products. So if someone was putting in window repair or window replacement near me, the page that would show up is more likely to be localized, so specific to a city. And that is the page that I would consider a local landing page. For some businesses, it is the home page, but that's because they don't have a city specific page yet, not because it's a true local landing page. So it is a page that is intended to capture and convert people who have a local search intent for a specific service or product that you offer. So it's very specific, and its goal is very conversion driven, in my opinion. It's not just that it should rank; it should also convert. It should give anyone who visits the page should get all the information they need to make a decision while we're still on that page as well.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's a great way to go a little bit more in depth into why do you think these local landing pages may perform better than just, using the homepage or using the typical services pages that has like 100 services listed, right?
Yeah, it definitely helps, especially if you do your research beforehand and you understand what services are most like searched for in your area. Using something like Keyword Planner or using SEMrush or a similar tool, you could find out like, hey, these are the services in my area that I offer that people are looking for the most. I could try to compete on the homepage with all of my competitors, or I can be the only one that has a specific city page for that service, or I could have the best city page for that service. And that is going to capture that extremely targeted audience of people who are specifically looking for that service in that area. It just makes you the most attractive option in search results. And then when they get to the page and they read how you're using every opportunity to make them into a customer on that page, it increases the likelihood that they'll convert as well.
Now, as you're going through your research mode and you're looking at search results and things like that, do you do any type of analysis on competitor pages? Like what are the exact pages that the competitor is ranking? Is it the home pages? Do they have local pages? What is that process for you?
So My goal when looking at competitors is to one, determine if I think they're actually doing SEO at all. And then because sometimes you'll find that your competitor just got lucky. Like there has been no one putting into effort to rank, and they're like the longest standing business in that area. So they're just kind of benefiting from just existing for so long. So that's something to be aware of. And that kind of plays into the Google business profile part too, because if someone has like their business name is the keyword, they're going to rank no matter how good or bad their SEO is. They have a better chance of ranking without doing the work. So I think it's a good idea to differentiate between a competitor that's putting in the work to do SEO and someone who's just benefiting from their circumstance. Because you don't want to take the strategy of someone who's just benefiting from their circumstance, because there isn't a strategy. They're just getting lucky. So what I like to do is essentially looking at the ranking factors that I know are important for on page for a local landing page, and looking at all my competitors and seeing what ranking factors are they clearly focusing on. Also like to see what features on they have on the page that increase trust, increase authority, and encourage a conversion. So I want to know what they're doing to get people to get to the page, and then once they're on the page, how are they getting them to actually interact with them. It could be something like, oh wait, we don't have any testimonials on our page and all of our competitors have testimonials. Like then you're the only one not doing it, and that should be something you're aware of so that you can fix it. It doesn't mean that adding testimonials will make you rank better than those competitors, but at least puts you on a level playing field. So you want to do at least what your competitors are doing. And if you can get beyond that and think about what are the gaps in my competitor strategy, what ranking factors are that I know that are important are they missing, or what opportunities I know they're not capitalizing on, or how can I push these things further.
I don't know if you ever do, but I've tried this as well, where like you're really analyzing that competitor, as you said, right? Like you're looking at what are they doing, what are they not doing, versus what am I doing, versus what am I not doing. And I've tried creating a checklist. Have you tried that? Like, is there any tactics that you can recommend to our listeners?
Yeah, of course now like I have a mental checklist of what I'm looking for, but on our website, rickyRoo.com/blog, there's a blog post where I actually put up a checklist of the things that I'm looking for on a landing page. So that is something that people can definitely use. But really, I am looking for like what are the things that I know that are known ranking factors, or what do the people who work in local SEO consider ranking factors. So using like that white spark ranking factor uh, uh, list to see like, okay, are we hitting these things? Are our competitors hitting these things? Where are the differences in what we're doing, what they're doing, and using that kind of as a checklist too. That's another option to figure out kind of what you think is going on and where do you think your competitors are succeeding. Well, some of the things that we often find is that like our competitors are beating us in something small, like oh we're just not doing this at all, or oh we're focusing on this like a specific type of service, when our competitors are using just different language for it and they're getting more traffic overall and they have more topical authority. So like I think it's really important to pay attention to what your competitors are doing, not necessarily to copy what they're doing, but to see where you may be missing out on things that you should be doing, or see where their differentiators are from you.
Yeah, definitely don't try to copy them because I mean, it's just it's like what I said, right? Like it's so much you get so far trying to trick the algorithm, try to get to the top, but you may not see the conversion. So then what's the point?
Yeah.
So as you're analyzing it, as you're thinking about this checklist, what are some common elements that you continuously find on top performing pages?
Yeah, so I think one of the things that I continuously find, and some SEOs are going to want to fight me on this, but page titles and H1 tags having the keywords in them still, that is a huge factor. And the more competitive the industry is, the more important it is. We've done study after study showing like, oh, if this car accident lawyer has more than one version of car accident lawyer in their page title, they rank better than if they have one. So it's like it's important to test things out and see for yourself what works in your area. But we've often seen that works still. Page title and H1 tags, and really focusing on those core terms for those parts of your website. One of the other things that I see that competitors doing extremely well is um, adding as many like relevant local features to their pages as possible, or being as locally relevant as possible. One of my favorite examples is that there's a nationwide pest control company with franchises, and for each of their location pages, they have the most common pests in your area. So, like, now there's something that is localized on the page. Is it going to be like, I live in South Carolina, so like, is it probably the same for the vast majority of the state? Yes, but it is something that is not going to be the same for every city that they have in the entire country. So there's some localization there. I think localized reviews. So being as specific and local as possible without creating a headache for your content team. That is what I see successful pages doing the most. Also see that they have a focus on backlinks, but not just any backlinks. They are um, they are prioritizing having a like very well curated backlink profile where it's not just, oh, let's get a bunch of citations or let's get a bunch of topical links. It's truly local links, it's topical links and citations, all about the same amount um, of each. So like a very balanced backlink profile appears to perform better than a strong focus on the one type of backlink, no matter what type it is. Those are things that I see that they do well. Also, internal linking. So, internally linking to those location landing pages is something that they do extremely well, especially larger franchises that outperform smaller franchises. They use those other locations that they have for those internal linking opportunities, and they often make microsites so that there's like an entire ecosystem for each location where the pages can internally link to each other as well. So those are things that I see that they're doing that's helping them the most as far as user experience, and getting them to rank well. I think internal linking is one of the things that a lot of smaller businesses, even if they have multiple locations, are missing out on. It's building those links to those location pages so that they have more page rank. They show up as relevant to search engines and get more traffic.
Yeah, that's very interesting because some of the craziest case studies I've ever seen that I was working on, it always had some sort of internal linking strategy behind it. Like there was some thought behind it. It was not just like, oh, I'm just gonna link here, there, and then call it a day.
Uh-huh.
Like there was some thought behind it. So, do you have any recommendations on like how location marketers can do this if they have local pages or they're thinking about launching local pages?
Yeah, I always think about internal linking as a project for scalability too. So you don't want to create a local internal linking strategy where it takes multiple people in your team going back through a ton of content and finding individual opportunities over and over again while you're building your location pages or creating like what is the information architecture for these pages. Go ahead and build internal linking into your plan. I think that's the best thing to do. Another thing is with your anchor text, make sure you vary your anchor text and have it specific to the city. So if you are a car accident lawyer and you serve 20 different cities, you can't use car accident lawyer as the same anchor text for every car accident page you have. It would be better to have a local modifier for that city as part of the anchor text too, just for clarity for like search engines. And also, it makes it easier for you to know, okay, this is going to the correct page or the page that I want it to, as well if the anchor text is more clear. So those are the strategies that we use with our clients. If I can find like a module or a section of a page where we can just, hey, like all of these should link to all the car accident pages, or this car accident page that's on the state level should link to all the city pages, then we'll create that module. Or like this personal injury page should link to all of this city pages for different practice areas within that city. So we'll create different modules, create different strategies on a structural level based on what pages we have as well. So we try to find something that's a rinse and repeat type of strategy for internal linking. We do, of course, go back and any opportunities we have to link on in existing content, go ahead and create those internal links as well. We'll also create content for the sake, particularly of internal linking. So we'll create topical clusters related to the service and the city. If we can find unique, interesting ways to create content, and then internally link that to the key pages that we want to improve as well. We find that a lot of sites where they are small to begin with, so they haven't built out a lot of content. That was the best way to provide internal linking opportunities and content to the site at the same time.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's very interesting to create a page just for the heck of the part of the strategy. In I think that, I mean, as far as local pages go, just for everybody listening, these internal links are just gonna power them up, right? Like they're gonna give that validation to search engines, and they're just gonna really skyrocket. One of the things that I've done in the past too was like I'm working on an article and I want to find a place to link for, and I just go to Google, right, and type
Mhm.
in with a word that I'm looking for, and then my website, and typically even Google helps me find those pages. So that could be a little
Right.
pro hack there.
Yeah, if you do site colon domain name and then the keyword you're looking for, it will find it for you. One of the things that I actually did, I used ChatGPT to make a Python script so that it will find, like, I can give it a list of pages and then say, find these keywords, and it'll scroll all those pages to find those specific keywords for me. And I even specified, do not give me that are already anchor text. So it'll find me all the mentions of my keywords that aren't already anchor text for me, and then I just have a list of internal links that we can just go ahead and go after. So I think there's a lot of interesting things. If someone is looking for uses for ChatGPT that's not content, that's definitely one of them. So to have it create scripts for you to make processes easier that you can just share with your entire team. Because now my team is using that. So our time to find internal link opportunities that already exist on the website has been cut down across the agency because we can just plug in all the URLs, plug in the URL we want to grow, put in our anchor text options, and we even have set up so we use regular expression so you can have different variations of your keywords, and I'll just go through those pages and find them for you.
That's awesome. You gotta love ChatGPT doing, the heavy lifting because it is very tedious work, but
Yeah.
it's worth it. Other than ChatGPT, are there any tools or anything else that you use on the local pages to try to optimize them and rank them better?
We do a lot of like keyword analysis beforehand and topical analysis beforehand. I think that's really it's very localized. I think that's really the other big approach that we use as far as using tools, and we use like all the tools that everyone knows to do that. There's nothing special that we're doing for that process. It's just that we do see that a lot of times SEOs, especially if they work in local, they get a little I don't know, I guess bored because it seems like every time it's the same keywords and you may be missing on opportunities in a specific market if people search a little bit differently and you didn't do the research to see, hey, if I put it in keyword planner, these are actually the terms that are getting the most searches per month. And I keep saying keyword planner because it is a great keyword research tool for local SEOs because you can put in your DMA or put in your specific city and get like an average over the year how many people have been searching per month for that specific keyword in that specific city. It'll give you which competitors are actually doing campaigns and are getting searches too for branded terms. So it's just a very useful tool, I think, for keyword research, especially if you have competitors that aren't focusing on SEO, so you're not sure what to do based on the competitor analysis. It's a good way to get around that because we know these are the keywords that people are bidding on, and we know they're bidding on it because Google tells them that people are looking for those specific terms. So that's a good way. I think that's probably my number one tool. A lot of the other things, there's tools that can do them. There's ways to find out how to do them yourself. A lot of times, I end up just using like a Chrome extension and like detailed or SEO in one, and looking at the page titles, descriptions, and all of that stuff. And that is like a free way to do it. So like you don't have to have a paid tool to find a lot of these do a lot of competitor analysis at all. You can do a lot of it for free with tools that are available to everyone and get a lot of details and information from that. Because Keyword Planner, it helps if you have like if you have a campaign in there because you get more data and it get more accurate data, but you don't necessarily need to have it. Um, Extensions, things like that. Those are the main tools that I actually use on a regular basis to do my analysis. But of course, like I use some of the paid ones as well, like SEMrush and Ahrefs.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned the whole, keyword research, but at the local level, because I mean, several years ago, I was working with this HVAC company, right? They do AC and heating, And
Mm-hmm.
it was very funny how in the north people call it furnace, and so the keywords changed versus the south was about heater, right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
used to saying heater. But if you don't do your proper research, you're going to optimize for the wrong thing that people are not searching in that specific market, whether it's a city or a state.
Yeah, we see that too with like hot water tank versus hot water heater. Like there's all
Mm.
types of like different ways that people search for terms that like we all mean the same thing, but we search for a completely different way. And it's really interesting to find those things and capitalize on that, because if you're not doing it and your competitors are, that's an entire like book of words that you're not going to be able to rank for as competitively as someone who's just targeting them specifically.
Yeah, and at least like your example, my example, at least you understand what you're searching for. You're probably gonna find it. You're just not gonna be 100% optimized. But then
Yeah.
I ran into this other company where they specialize in providing solutions for convenience stores at a gas station. But this
Mm-hmm.
is up in the north where they call them bodegas. And
Mm-hmm.
so I heard the word and I'm like, what is that? And I mean, because I speak Spanish, so I know what a bodega is, a warehouse, right? Big warehouse. And so it's not, the convenience store doesn't come to mind to me. And so it was a very good learning. It's like, oh, well, this is the importance of keyword research.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great example of that. Yeah, and if you're not from a region, there's no way for you to know that other than to do keyword research.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as we're talking about applying what you found, right? Like, so let's say that they're analyzing and they created their checklist, they're building their local pages. Uh, what is your thoughts on like testing or optimizing? Maybe they already have a page and they go back and like, hey, should I add this because the competitor has it? What are your thoughts there on all this?
SEO testing is definitely something I recommend doing. I encourage anyone to never take anyone's word for it and test for yourself. And it's not necessarily that SEOs are being dishonest, but depending on the area they're in, depending on what industry they're working in, depending on the type of client they have, what works for them and that site may not work for your, and even depending on the website, depending on the competitors. So what works for my client may not work for your client, and it's not because it's necessarily right or wrong. It's just because it's a different market. It's a different situation. So it's always important to test for yourself and determine what works in your area the best. I do a lot of testing with my clients, especially clients with multiple locations or a lot of service area pages, because that gives you an opportunity to have a control. If you don't do all the pages at once, you can have some pages that you make a change to, some pages that you don't, and see what you get. And the metrics that I would look at would be like improving in rankings, improving clicks, and conversions as well. Because some of the things that you may find that competitors are doing aren't necessarily increasing their traffic, but it is increasing their conversions. Or improving their conversion rate. So that would be another metric to look at to see if it's making an impact there as well. Also, if it's something that just doesn't hurt to add and it's a quick ad, just go ahead and do it. Like if it's something that's gonna, and that's another thing that I'll think about when I do testing with clients too, is like if something is somewhat risky, test it. If something is something you're unsure about, test it. If something is going to take a ton of time to implement across all of your location pages, test it. But if it's something that is like no brainer, like, oh yeah, we should have testimonials on our location pages, just go ahead and do it. I think so. That's kind of the way that I determine what I should test and what I should kind of just go ahead and do or just recommend as something that we do site wide. I think it's especially important if you're making recommendations across lots of pages to just go ahead and test it, because you can save you and the client a lot of money, heartache, if you already have an idea of what result you're going to get before you spend the time to implement across a ton of pages and then end up not getting any result from it, or net like flat net zero change in results, and then you spend all that time doing it. So I think it's extremely important. When I set up testing, depending on the test is how I determine whether it's going to be the set of control and when what's going to be the test pages. Sometimes like it's, hey, these pages aren't performing at all, so there's no risk in doing something and seeing how it goes. So that's how I choose to test. If it's a conversion based test, it's probably better to test pages that are already performing pretty well, because that'll get you like a real answer much faster than a page that is not getting that much traffic in the first place. So depending on, I determine which pages to test based on like a risk assessment and which one is going to give me the best, like the most information about how the test went, and whether it was helpful or not. So those are like, if you have a page that's ranking super well, doing something that you think might improve rankings is not may not make a big difference for that one. But if you have a page that is not doing well, it can make a bigger difference for that page, and that gives you a much better idea of the results, and the value of what you did.
And how are you measuring success of local landing pages? Is there any specific performance metrics that you're looking at, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so we use Google Search Console, Google Analytics. Those are our main reporting tools, and of course Google Business Profiles too. But of course, using Google Tag Manager to set up events for specific events that we want to track, or specific behaviors that we want to track. We are we're very revenue focused for our clients. So like if we can get as close to us to knowing this led to this specific sale, that's the ultimate goal for us. If we don't have that, then we look at conversions. Like, okay, this location page has improved in conversions significantly. We sometimes I actually listen to the recording of the phone calls, or sometimes I'll actually look at the form completions and say how much is this spam, how much is this is real, especially if we see a really good increase. That's our like the main things that we're looking for. Earlier on in a test or case study, what I'm looking for is to see changes in rankings for the terms that I think are most important for that page, and changes in clicks in Google Search Console. Those are two things that I would look for earlier on, and even volatility.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense, and I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with me and geek out. I think we went very technical, so apologize if you don't understand and following, but hopefully everybody listening to us really, is very connected to the industry and is following along. Is there any final thoughts or actionable items that you can share with our audience on local pages on what to do, or any secret tips that you can share with them?
No secret tips. And I think that is the best information I can give anyone, is that there is no secret to getting it right. It's doing the research, understanding the market, understanding your competitors, and figuring out what are the factors that are going to be the most important for your page to compete. And that's really it. Like that, there isn't more to it than that. And I think getting rankings for location landing pages is more accessible than what people think it is. And I think getting them to convert as well is more accessible than people think it is. And I guess my real takeaway is to don't focus only on the traffic, focus on the conversion as well. So make sure once you get people to that page, you're actually converting, because if you're a local SEO, your clients are looking to make more revenue from your SEO services, not just to get more traffic to pages. So make sure you're following it all the way through to the end and asking your clients about the quality of the leads that they're getting as well.
Well, with that, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Amanda, for joining us on this episode. I had a blast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was fun for sure.
If you like this episode of the Local Marketing Beat, please give it a like and subscribe to the show on YouTube. And remember, you can tune in to the show on the go on Spotify. So feel free to take it on the go as well. And if you want to keep learning more, we have more resources on the description below, or visiting at overall.com. And Amanda, how can people connect with you? Is there any way to follow along your journey?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Amanda Jordan, Twitter, Amanda T. Jordan, and on the Rickety Roo website, rickettyroo.com.
Awesome. All right. We'll see you next time.